Ah, hell. I'm in the wrong game again. Hey guys, Nary here from Jericho Gaming, and some of you know me on Twitter, The Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming at you another Let's Play episode of Psychic Connections Aiden's Path, and as you guys can clearly see, the title screen has changed to our favorite Wolfie boy. Ah man, the music just matches this perfectly. It's beautiful. But anyway guys, without further ado, let's jump right back into that hot boy and see where things go for the night, shall we? Alright, here we go. Also, I don't know if you guys will notice, I covered my previous video, Echo video, I've got a new 4K, my HDR monitor, and so the colors might look quite a bit better in the videos, so there's a plus. Anyway guys, here we go. Sleeping bag. I don't think I packed one of those. Why wouldn't I pack a sleeping bag? It's clearly an essential. What was I planning? To sleep on the ground and make a pillow out of rocks? Mason! Mason! Wait, let me go back. Mason? Mason! Aiden shouts at me, pulling me out of my brief stupor. His face is of concern. I feel your distress. Is something wrong? Is it me? I can request a switch with someone. No, it's not like that. I just realized I forgot to pack a sleeping bag. Oh. Oh? That's all you've got to say? So you're worried about having to sleep on the ground? Then just take my sleeping bag. Huh? But don't you need it? Hardly. I can imagine I would have gotten a good night's rest anyway. I'll just stay up and organize my plans for next week. This guy, all he ever does is plan, work, and give. He's never relaxing. That's no good. I couldn't resist. That's no good. Huh? I said that's not going to work. You need to rest just as much as anyone. What if we shared your sleeping bag? It looks rather big. If I'm being honest, looking at the thick silk and the large pillow, it looks more like a bed than the one in my dorm room. Wouldn't that make you uncomfortable? Maybe, but I'm willing to try it if you are. Aiden ponders this for a moment, and it's in this moment that I realize how crazy I must sound. I basically just asked him to spoon with me until morning. That wasn't my intention, but that's definitely what would happen if he agreed. He's probably going to debate me further, though. No need to panic. Alright, that seems reasonable enough. Wait. What? Aiden begins opening his sleeping bag, but I feel the need to interject. Shouldn't you, I don't know, put on pants or something? I thought you might be comforted if I were to join you in being exposed like this. With that discussion out of the way, and without further objections, I snuggle up into the bag, facing towards Aiden. This feels so out of character. I mean, sure, it's a practical solution, but I never thought he'd actually agree to it. I wasn't even thinking when I'd said it, but now we're laying next to each other like this. Aiden looks at me curiously before turning his back to me. Looking at him up close like this, his fur is so soft. It's always looked soft and shiny, but now I can really see that he keeps it pristine. He still smells of the lake water, mossy, yet I can still faintly smell his cologne. A distinct vanilla. Mason? Yeah? Your hands are a little... Thinking about what he's saying, I realize that by having my hands downward, I've been practically filling up his ass. Once I'd realized this, I could not notice how firm his cheeks are. Wait. I almost want to give them a squeeze. What the hell am I thinking? Cleaning my mind from the gutter, I yank my hands away from the wolf and shift them behind me. Yep, sorry about that. It's fine. Aiden doesn't say anything else, and we both just lay there silently. I almost feel like I should say something, yet nothing comes to my mind. I wonder if I made him uncomfortable. Or maybe he's already fallen asleep. I can't really tell with his eyes closed. I try my best to clear my mind. I try not to think about anything and let myself drift away. Save it right here. It really did feel nice. No. Okay. Darkness. Nothing. Like a void. A moment etched between nothing and eternity. I've been here before, and I know this feeling. I'm not alone. Oh, now this is an interesting development. You're awake this time, aren't you? How peculiar. What? Who are you? Ah, of course. Where are my manners? It's a pleasure to meet you, Mason. You may call me Dante. I recognize this as a dream, yet it feels strangely lucid, like I could reach out and touch something, if not for the blatant void before me. Waves of confusion continue crashing in my mind. However, stronger than that is my desire for answers. Who are you? I believe I already answered that question. A better question would be, who are you? You've left me quite puzzled. Zoe seems to have taken quite the interest in you, but what I can't understand is why. What makes her trust you? I don't know. Where does she get off asking for help? She doesn't deserve your help. Is it getting angry? What do you want from me? I hear nothing at first, and I begin to think that the voice may have left for a moment, but an interruption to my thoughts proves me wrong. I want you to put a stop to the hypocrisy. What hypocrisy? You've yet to truly see it, but you will in time. I know you will. Nothing this voice is saying makes any sense. Is he talking about Zoe? It seems you've taken quite an interest in Aiden. They say all work and no play makes you a dull boy, and Aiden is no exception. I look forward to seeing the mess he becomes when his world comes crashing around him. What do you mean? Just wait and see. I'm sure you'll figure it out. Unfortunately, it seems the opportunities to probe your mind have come and gone. Probe my mind? What have you been... Ooh, so sorry. I also have more pressing things to do than play 20 questions. Toodles. As if a switch were flipped, the darkness surrounding me dissipates, and I feel myself beginning to fall. In an instant, I find myself turning and experience the strangest sensation of looking upon myself as I fall. I continue on this course, expecting a hard collision into where I'm laying. Instead, I watch as I seem to slip inside my sleeping self. Day 6. Opening my eyes, I'm greeted with the sight of the tent's interior and a light throbbing in my head. Groggily, my eyes drift to the canopy of the tent while I try to collect my thoughts. Was that really just a dream? I want to believe it was just another nightmare, but after everything I've experienced this past week, that seems too good to be true. Pushing these thoughts from my mind for a moment, I allow myself to shift in the silk sleeping bag and soak in the comfort of the high-quality material. I wonder, does Aiden always sleep in such fine bedding? Wait. With this passing thought, it occurs to me that there's a posh wolf missing from my sleeping bag. Looking around the tent, it would appear that Aiden has stepped out. How late did I sleep in? Quickly stumbling to my feet, I take a peek outside. Not seeing any of the others, I make a quick beeline for the clothes I'd hung up last night. Let me save it right here, guys. They're still a little damp, but I can at least wear them now and cover myself properly. Feeling the slightly wet cloth lightly clinging to my fur is far from comfortable, but it's that or going borderline nude the entire morning. After getting my pants and shirt on, I notice our local bodyguard watching me from the edge of some trees. Feeling a little bold, or perhaps just tired of that feeling I seem to get whenever I know he's watching me, I decide to approach the bull. If you're looking for him, just head on over down this path. He went over there to make a phone call a little while ago. Gotcha. Did he wake you up, or are you always up this early? He and I are on pretty identical sleep schedules, though I won't lie, I've been taking advantage of this trip to get extra hours in. This man is so confusing to me. Sometimes he seems very serious about his work, and at other times it's almost like it seems like a joke. It's a little bit of both, actually. Shit, that's right, he knows exactly what I'm thinking. You bet I know what you're thinking. Okay, this is getting on my nerves. I have to exit this conversation and find Aiden. Rushing past the bull, I head further into the woods. It was both to look for Aiden, as well as to get away from Jericho's mind reading. After the dream last night, I think I might be coming to the realization that I hate the idea of anyone poking around in my thoughts. It only takes a couple of minutes of trekking through some brushes and trees to find the wolf I'd been seeking. Aiden is pacing back and forth while still wearing his scout uniform. His expression and voice are both very stern while he talks on his phone. What I'm trying to understand is where this idea of selling came from. No, I know that. Yes, I was just led to believe that when the time came... Right. Well, give me a chance to make a counter case before you make any decisions. I'm not sure who he's talking to. Probably a client of some sorts. Based on his tail thrashing about and his ears swiveling, I'm assuming he's not happy with how his discussion is going. Okay. Thank you, sir. Yes, I will. Goodbye. Aiden's call ends. Must be. At first he doesn't move an inch. He simply slides his phone into his shorts while letting out a long sigh. However, he seems to take notice of my presence after the moment passes and begins to slowly walk towards me. Mason, how long have you been there? Not very long. Aiden looks at me carefully, no doubt determining if I'm telling the truth or not. I see. And how much of that did you hear? I really only heard the end of the conversation, honestly. It sounds like your sale wasn't going very well. My sale? Oh! Yes, I suppose you could say that. What about you? You seem troubled. Is everything alright? Is everything alright? I don't really know how to answer that right now. I'm really unsure of what to make of that dream. I could tell Aiden, but would he take me seriously? Tell him. I just had a really weird dream. At least, I think it was a dream. Aiden listens to me with rapt attention as I regale the story of the strange happenings in the night. At no point does he interrupt me. He simply nods along as I explain everything to him as best I can. Once I finish, his head shakes a bit as he thinks about how to respond to my story. I wouldn't worry about all that too much. It sounds a lot like an anxiety dream. No, but I really don't think it was a dream. It all felt surreal. You wouldn't be the first to have an overactive imagination. It's likely your anxieties have manifested in this way, and that's perfectly normal. Aiden reaches his hand out and pats my head, ruffling the fur between my ears and flashes me a warm smile. While the gesture is nice, it isn't exactly reassuring either. Maybe he's right. Perhaps it really was just a really weird dream. Let me see right here, guys. Oh! I also ran into Jericho just now on my way here, and he did a bit of mind reading. I see, and based on your tone, I presume that made you uncomfortable. Allow me to apologize on his behalf. He has a way of being intrusive in the worst possible way. I assume you're speaking from experience? Let's just say he has a tendency to stretch the definition of his duties to suit his own wants. If I were my father, I'd have likely fired Jericho a long time ago for a lack of professionalism. However, he's my oldest friend, so I could never force myself to do that. So, working at Aiden Corps has a lot of job security? That's good to know. You know that the company isn't called Aiden Corps, right? I know, but it just rolls off the tongue better, don't you think? Aiden cracks a smile at this, as I hold back a chuckle. The tension between us seems to evaporate as we move away from this topic of conversation. I'll admit, I expected you to sleep a while longer. I was actually about to go on a walk, if you'd like to join me. I don't have anything really stopping me, so that sounds nice. Following Aiden's lead, I begin walking along one of the paths that lead towards the lake. The sun begins rising further beyond the mountainous horizon, and rays of light begin pouring through the trees. During this time, Aiden and I don't really talk. Instead, we simply enjoy the moment and sights around us. Ooh, beautiful lake. I want to go to that cabin. I want to see what's over there. Our forest walk comes to an end when the trees break, giving us a beautiful view of the lake bathed in sunshine. It truly is a marvelous sight, seeing the glistening surface dancing with each little ripple. Wow. Would you just look at all that? I'll admit, the view is rather nice. Oh! I turn to Aiden, his eyes quickly shift away as if trying to look elsewhere. Was he looking at me just now? No, that was probably just my imagination. I didn't think you were one to really enjoy this kind of thing. I don't have time for it generally, but that doesn't mean I don't enjoy it. When Zoe had mentioned camping originally, I'd imagined a much dirtier environment, but this area is surprisingly well maintained. The water is surprisingly absent of waste, and I haven't noticed much in the way of trash on the ground. I never really realized you were a big environment buff. I just think it's a shame that nobody seems to be forward-thinking. It's why I want to make a big push for developing technology that assists in cleaner energy production. My father disagrees, though. His mind has always been on the numbers. He saw the initial projected dip in profits and immediately wrote it off as a foolish venture. He doesn't believe we could secure enough patents with that technology that would exceed our gains long term. It seems like Aiden has really thought about this idea a lot. I can actually see how passionate he is about making this work. I'd say it's a good idea. I'm glad you agree. Unfortunately, I don't have enough saying power to really make any of this happen. At least you do want it to make it happen. It's not like there are a ton of people out there that are pushing for that kind of change. Thank you. However, I would be lying if I said my reasons for it were purely altruistic. Inevitably, a push is going to be made for cleaner, renewable energy. The profits would be immense, especially if we were the primary producers for the technology to support it. If I could just get my father to see that, then I really think we'd be well set for the future. I'm probably boring you with all this work talk, though. Would you like to talk about something else? You're not boring me, but if you have something else in mind, I'd be fine with talking about it. Aiden purses his lips briefly while he visibly contemplates what to talk about next. Coupled with his little outfit and the way his tail flips back and forth on occasion, it's actually kind of cute. Though the thought then occurs to me that Aiden can feel emotions. If I were to think about him in that way, would he be able to tell? Let me save it right here. Ah, here's an idea. Why don't you tell me more about yourself? That should hopefully balance out all this talking about work and myself. This is a bit of a surprise, and I'm not sure why, but I wasn't expecting Aiden to be interested in knowing more about me. Though perhaps I shouldn't pretend to have any idea what arouses the interest of future CEOs. No, sure, I guess. Was there something specific you wanted to know? Well, the other night you told us about your accident. I guess I'm just curious about your life before that. I guess I haven't really shared too much of myself with him so far, or really any of the others, outside of the weird stuff. Well, to be honest, there isn't too much to share. I grew up in a pretty normal home, just my two parents and me. Are your parents on the older side? I don't know. I mean, they're in their 50s, so I suppose. Why do you ask? It's a simple curiosity. My father had me and my sister later in his life, when he was fully prepared for children. You have a sister? Have I not mentioned her before? I nod in the affirmation that this was truly news to me. She's a bit of a wild child, if I'm being honest. We don't talk much anymore. But we're getting off track again. I wanted to hear more about you, not continue reciting my own autobiography. Ooh, I hope we get to meet Aiden's sister. I want to meet his sister. The desire to protest is strong because I am curious about this sister, but we agreed to talk about me, so I relent and continue talking about myself. Right, well, I was on the swim team throughout high school with my best friend from middle school. Really? After last night and how quickly you ran out of that water, I had assumed you likely hated swimming. I certainly wasn't enjoying it at the moment, but I doubt many people would enjoy the sensation of swimming in fully soaked clothing. No, I really loved it in school. It was a lot of fun, really. Have you kept up with it since graduating? Not as much as I would have liked. After my accident, everything became a lot harder. Physical therapy was grueling for a few months. Who knew just lying still for a couple of years was so bad for your health? That must have been truly difficult. I genuinely cannot even fathom the difficulties you must have faced. Difficult doesn't even summarize it well enough. It was probably the toughest hurdle I've ever had to overcome in my life. It wasn't easy, but I'm here now, and I wouldn't have met any of you without that accident, so that's a silver lining, I guess. That's sweet of you to say. However, I'm sure you would have preferred not spending an extended period in the hospital. Hey! The sound of Quinn's voice catches my attention, and my eyes are drawn over to the dock where I see the bunny swimming towards us. He eventually begins practically hopping towards us. Water cascades off his slender frame as he exits the lake. I fully expect Quinn to be wearing bottoms of some kind, but he exits the lake completely in the buff. Yep. Gonna have to edit that out. Quinn, for God's sake, why are you naked? Good morning to you too, Aiden, and good morning to you, Mason. You're not even going to dignify my question with an answer, are you? Nope, I went for a dip and decided this was the most comfy way to do it. I can't come up with a solid argument other than it's improper to just be naked in a place like this. Maybe Quinn is simply more free-spirited than I am. Everyone was wondering where you two ran off to. Nobody knew where either of you'd gone. Not even Jericho? Actually, Mason, I wasn't going to mention this, but Jericho's been tailing us this entire time. What? Snapping my head back, I begin scanning the trees behind us. Sure enough, I find the bull leaning back against one, a puff of smoke veiling his visage. This guy is seriously everywhere, isn't he? There we go. That's another episode of Psychic Connections, Aiden's Path complete. Next episode will likely be the end of this series, the end of this run for now. And then we'll move on to Quinn. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell to the next video. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye!